The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, the Leo King, and welcome to Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast of the week of August 13th through the 19th of 2019. Thanks so much for being here and being a part of highvibe.tv. This is a network that is all about spirituality, conscious lifestyle media. Check it out. We have apps, we have an awesome website, we have awesome free content, and of course we have a subscription service as well, and paid video service, where of course that is what supports to keep this show alive and free for you on YouTube and on the apps. If you want to watch this on Apple TV, you want to watch it on your iPhone, you want to watch it on the go, it's awesome, because if you don't have YouTube Premium, our app with our free content is just like it. You can swipe up and just listen to the audio in the car and still do what you want on your phone. It's awesome. And of course, this is the show where we go deep into the astrology and we talk about what's going on in the astrology, what's going on this week, where I channel it straight to you, and then we go deep into the charts, brought to you by AstroGold, which is for iOS, Android, and you can get it, of course, on your iPhone, but you can get it on your MacBook and on iMac. But if you're on PC, check out SolarFire. Also, last thing, since this is a major transit coming to Venus right now, we're going to be talking a lot about it today, I did a special video, The Passion of Venus. It is an hour and 22-minute video where I go deep and focus just here in the studios, just how I do deep astrology, and it's only for $10, all about the next 6 weeks and how potent it is about relationships, manifesting, projects and money, and how it's all connected through relationship, and how it is so imperative during this time to use this potent energy. And I focus directly straight on this. I go into history, I go into some really crazy stories. You're definitely going to want to check it out. It's all deep astrology style, and it's on highvibe.tv for purchase on the front page. Well, here we are, full moon week in Aquarius, the first full moon without it being a lunar eclipse in Aquarius. And you got to remember that in 2018, that south node was in Aquarius, and remember that in 2017, we were moving into the nodes in Aquarius and Leo with the south node there and the eclipse energy. So to be honest with you, this is the first, real full moon in Aquarius without a lot of this weird kind of Karmic aspect stuff. Now we are in, of course, Karmic times with South Node and Saturn, which is a whole different story in Capricorn, which we'll talk about today. But this is a week where we are seeing the Sun and Venus come into a perfect conjunction point exactly while the full moon is happening. I mean, this is very rare, very unique, because this is a lot of Leo stacked up. This whole week until the end, we're going to have Mars in Leo cutting across that 28th degree where we had the total solar eclipse that everybody talked about around the world that went through America, that was on August 21st of 2017. So we are cutting that last 2 years off. This full moon is helping it, peaking the energy out while the Sun and Venus are conjoining in Leo. And this is very important for us because with Mercury now coming out of its shadow period this week, Mercury is going to be going full speed ahead in Leo. We've got Venus in Leo, the Sun. This is a very powerful energy, because when it comes to relationships, when it comes to projects, when it comes to manifesting right now, you can feel it. The intense energy is coming to a radicality, especially with a full moon in Aquarius. Guess what that means? This is taking us to an electric current that is connecting us to our true hearts, connecting relationships, projects, and finding solutions, and finding what's connected and also what is also disconnected. So we also have Mercury this week, which is going to be in Leo and square Uranus. And remember that Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. So this full moon is going to highlight this Uranus and Taurus aspect, which of course went retrograde on Sunday. So think about this. Uranus, this is the first time Uranus, since the last time it was in Taurus in the 30s, has retrograded with it going to stay in Taurus. Remember last year, Uranus retrograded in Taurus, went back into Aries. So we weren't done with the Aries transit. We are done with that Uranian Aries transit. And this is the first week we've ever felt since the 30s of a Uranian retrograde in Taurus, with this dealing with Venus aspects. And Venus is on the sun and Uranus is here. So this is a very weird combination of things. But I don't think it's nothing to be like scared about or negative about. I think there's a lot of positive. I think that this is definitely about really connecting to a better connection source with love, with happiness. That of course starts with yourself first, but it goes way deeper into that. Because when it comes to relationships right now, this is a major point because of the fact that Saturn and Pluto met in 82 and 83, and they are closing that cycle to conjunct on, I can't even believe it, but it's like January 10th, 11th, and 12th with the eclipse energy that's going to be on the 10th and the 11th, and Mercury coming on top, and then the Sun or Saturn, Pluto on the 12th. Like that period of 2020, right at the beginning, we are going to finally close that cycle from 82 and 83, dealing with Saturn and Pluto in relationships. I did a live today on my Instagram all about the truth. People are asking me, why are relationships so crazy? Why are they so weird right now? Or why has it been such a weird thing? Well, welcome to what Saturn-Pluto conjunctions do, folks. You know, I always like to say with Saturn and Pluto, it's like two gangsters showing up. And you know what? Whenever you get into a relationship, it's like two gangsters for the last, 37 years showing up and being like, yo, what's going on with this? And it's like, whoa. And actually, if you actually go in a deeper form, might not just be about relationships, right? Libra deals about balance and order and so forth and law and justice, but there's this weird aspect where we are all in so much of we might put too much into this thing, like let's say spirituality, but our reality is unbalanced. Or we might be putting too much into some sort of belief system, especially might be about, some activism aspect of ourselves, but totally going against some other part that balances that part out. So we have to really realize that we are a bunch of unbalanced, freaking crazy human beings trying to come together in relationships. And do you think that really works? That's one weird way to look at it. But this moon in Aquarius, in its full aspect, is definitely one of the more unique aspects I think we're going to have throughout this year because the Sun and Venus are on top of each other. So it's a moon opposed Venus, in essence, while in full stage, while with the sun on top in a full moon. So there is a lot of pull as the Earth is with the moon, with the sun, and then Venus, if you think about it. So that's just a whole lineup right there. And that full moon is activating all those points really intensely. And because Uranus is in Taurus, and of course Taurus rules Venus, this is about building better connections of the true value of who you are and what that heart space is. Leo Taurus does not mess around. It wants the nicest kingdom. It wants the best sheets. It wants the best, tapestries on the wall. It wants to wear the most gold, beautiful crown. And you know what? We can look at that as a physical sense, but when we talk about this spirituality sense, think about it. When it comes to your life and your projects, your relationships, and the things that you do, you want the best of the best of the best of the best. And that's not something to actually start to, shy away from. Especially because, especially in this whole spiritual community thing, right? It's like, oh, if you try to have the best, you're not spiritual. You should just be living in poverty, and you should just be living in shit, and you should just not even enjoy the earth at all. Taurus and Leo were looking around what the hell are these people talking about, And I think that this moon in Aquarius is too, because the moon in Aquarius is I want to move forward. I want to use all the energy and connect it all together and form it into something beautiful and great that's better. Every part of fixed signs want better. And this is a major fixed energy. And you have to remember that this full moon in Aquarius without the south node there. Last year there was a south node, there was eclipse energy. So you got to remember that this is a whole different animal now. And this is weird because of the yods that have been to these positions of the Sun and Venus. Because with Neptune and with Pluto making their sextile, and if you include the south node there, these are yods that are forming to this full moon's Sun-Venus point of the full moon. And so this is where magic can truly happen, true karmic aspects, that south node on Saturn is holding the total lineage of whether you want to call it Akashic Records, whether you want to call it the deepest lineage of all the karma that is stacked in the old archives in some old weird place with dust that some old person with like, the green little lamp on with the little hat is going just recording all your data of all your karma is part of this yod. So when it comes to, like I just brought up the Saturn-Pluto conjunction of 82 and 83 closing, how ironic that now we're less than 6 months from closing, and of course the universe brings in these major Venus transits, yods. You can't get more fated than that, people. You really can't. And especially when we move to this whole Mars aspect, Mars finishing out at the end of Leo, coming on to Regulus, okay? This is where this really big, really intense strength comes, okay? There is like some harshness to it, I will admit, especially if you're not feeling like you're in your heart, and that can bring a downfall. But if you're in your heart and you're doing something for good, guess what? It is totally going to be in alignment for the things that you can achieve and want. So this Sun, this Mars aspect in Leo is really intense now, and it's getting Venus to kind of, I think, try as best as it can to kind of use it for the good, use it for love, use it for something beautiful, use it for beautiful creation. And even that full moon in Aquarius is saying, yeah, okay, it's a lot of hot energy. I'm trying to cool it down for a second so you make sure that you know what you're doing with it all. Like that's the whole thing about Aquarius, right? Aquarius is like, cool the fuck down, like get chilled out. Why do you think we call everything trendy or cool in Aquarius? Because Aquarius is innovative. When somebody puts on some new sunglasses, everybody's like, I gotta try those. And then you know what, a year later, it's like, once everybody's done it, it's boring. Nobody wants it anymore because everybody has it. Once everybody has something, Aquarius is like, I don't want that anymore. It's like, runs away, So there's a part of us where it's like, are we going to run away to these amazing aspects of love? Because maybe we're afraid of love? With Uranus and Taurus too, maybe you have some self-worth. Like, oh, I got to wait until I look a certain way. Maybe I have to wait until I feel like I have what I have. Uranus is trying to teach Taurus, like, this is why Uranus and Taurus don't like each other, okay? Because one, they're fixed energies, Aquarius and Taurus. So having Uranus here at the fall position of Taurus is like, this is really fixed earth. I am fixed air. I'm trying to just free flow this thing. And this is rock. This is mountains. These are deep layers to the core that create an earth. Like, what the heck? That's why I call Uranus and Taurus the sentinel in the matrix that's coming down. And what it's doing is it's going down to your core and saying, like, you already are amazing. Everything that you have now is amazing. And I think the best part is you are as is what you are. And I think that this is hard because with Mercury squaring Uranus this week, Mercury is out of shadow, by the way, on this full moon. So Mercury is coming full speed, and Mercury is fucking fast. Especially I showed you all in the helio charts last week about how fast Mercury can move through the helio because Mercury's an 88-day cycle. So it's like literally 1 week goes by, Mercury goes from one sign to another, like beep, beep, beep. And so if you really start to think of Mercury coming right to that shadow point at the exact same time of a full moon, this is going to feel like out of nowhere you are being launched into a whole nother reality about whether or not you're going to create the greatest energy of your life or you're going to run the fuck away. And you feel like you don't have it in you, or you're not ready for it yet because you feel like you still need to attain something or have something. But Jupiter is now direct. And Jupiter is saying, like, isn't it all about the experience to understand what everything is everywhere anyway? And I think that people are afraid of the experience. Because if you think about it, with Jupiter exactly in its semi-sextile over to Saturn and the South Node aspect, and squaring over to Neptune, yeah, this is going to bring up a lot of sensitivity around this kind of old karma and whether or not we just want to keep repeating old karma or do we want to break it and experience something that we've never experienced before and actually experience happiness and love. And this is the kingdom. We are going to get the most Leo energy that we are going to have without negative aspects for years, because guess what? Next year, Saturn comes into Aquarius and starts to make some oppositions to that Leo energy. And then we're getting Jupiter at the end of next year, and that's coming into Aquarius, and that's going to be in opposition. So guess what? This is the ultimate kingdom right now, and you're not going to see Mars here for 2 years, and you're not going to see Venus here for a while, because Venus has to go retrograde in 2020 in Gemini. So this is where Mars and Venus are hooking up, is at the end of Leo and coming into Virgo. And this week as well, before that happens, That's going to be next week, but it's going to be interesting to see Juno and Venus meet at 28 degrees, exactly where the total solar eclipse was of 2017, with that Mars that's going to cross it first. And this is a degree that is so important because if you look at all the way going back to 2015, this is where Saturn and Jupiter squared, okay? I know you guys think I'm crazy, I remember all this shit, but I do. This is where Venus had retrograded and squared Saturn. I don't know if y'all remember that in 2015, summer of 2015. So that was the end of Saturn Scorpio. So you got to remember that there was a lot of wounds to this Leo energy that's been attacked by all the scorpionic stuff that was digging it deep. And this is like clearing out so much old karmic stuff from the last 7 years that was all that Scorpio transits. And I think that everybody has to realize here, it's like, it's fear. It's fear of intimacy for this love. It's fear of fully going in 100% to see what's there. That is the thing that this full moon in Aquarius is going to bring up of like, maybe I should bug out a little bit. Why do you think bugs are kind of, ruled by Aquarian? Maybe you could look at it more scorpionic, but bugging out, the idea is to be like, I don't know if I'm ready to put my full life force in. And this is where this Uranus-Taurus is part of the story. Mercury squaring it, full moon in Aquarius. Then we have the moon coming into Pisces. And guess what? That moon in Pisces is going to be odd too, because it's going to be making this weird angle to Mercury as it comes in. And we are going to be like, what? With this quincunx? While it just is finishing its square over to Uranus. But I think even the most interesting aspect is Mars leaves Leo and comes into Virgo as we come into Sunday. And it's like the universe is seeding us with so much greatness, but it's whether or not we're going to do something with it, whether or not we're going to create our identity and a new reality with it. Because Leo is always a great idea. Leo is always a great heart. It's a great feeling. It's a great experience as well. It's a great sunshine feeling. But what do you do with it? What do you do after that? And Mars is going to want to do something with it. And I think that this Mars in Virgo is going to be wonderful. But we have to remember that the yod that's formed, that Pluto aspect early on this week, it's going to be making that quincunx to Sun-Venus as they conjunct. They technically conjunct at 21 degrees, and Pluto's there. That's why this whole intimacy thing is connected to all of it. Because it's like Pluto's in Capricorn. So Pluto's trying to take down the barriers of all these old rules that we bring up about ourselves and why we can't connect deeper. That's really the essence of Pluto. It will expose everything to you of why you don't know how to love or where you have some sort of judgments based on the fact that Saturn and Pluto were in Libra and that transit's not over. And I think that Venus and Juno, Sun, Venus, full moon, with the Venus and this full moon, this is starting to build up some really crazy shit. And with the yods, you can't get more fated or destiny aspect in astrology. That is the only aspect that literally has the word, finger of God. Like, there is no other aspect in astrology. A yod it literally is the ultimate, most fatalistic aspect. Because if you were to think of the math and what it takes for something like this to happen with Sun-Venus conjoining, while exactly in a yod, you cannot make that shit up. Just for the Sun-Venus, remember, that's like 9-month cycles. That's not something that just like impregnates all the time at the exact same time as a yod. So, this week, are you going to miss out, bug out of something beautiful and great? Or are you going to face it and integrate in? But the other part is that this is a thing where it's like bugging out of energy that is not connected with our vibration. So there is that dualistic nature where it's like I said last week was redline. People who didn't make the real big choices in their life, that didn't feel sovereign to their emotional self, they're going to have to pay attention to that now. Big time, because this is something that you just can't kind of mess around with. And especially as Mars comes into Virgo, it's going to make a semi-square to the North Node in Cancer. So it's not going to be easy to create this reality as we have to go into more emotion. And Virgo and emotion, that's kind of a unique space. Virgo would rather be busy and be mercurial and keep the whole harvest going and doing all that and be like, I got to get it done. I can't, even though it's not Capricorn who's sitting there going, you are fired, Virgo's kind of like, come on, you can do this. Let's go. Like, come on, move. It's like the usher at the hallways. Like, let's go with the fucking flashlight. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Especially with Mars there. He's like pushing you. Let's go. And so you have this crazy aspect going on. But now the North Node's in this big, weird semi-square, so guess what? It's like, I gotta actually feel this, and I actually have to integrate in this because this is what the universe is telling me to do, and it's on top of Sirius. The star Sirius is just fatalistic as well. Aligned with the whole universal aspect of where the universe is trying to take you. So if it doesn't feel in your vibration at all, and it doesn't feel from your heart, because we can get disguised with a full moon. Remember, it's a wolf in sheep clothing. We can get really like, my emotions actually are this. But don't get caught up. Remember that the Sun and Venus are in Leo. Don't forget that the Sun is dignified here. Don't forget that Saturn is dignified. Don't forget that Neptune is dignified. Don't forget that Jupiter is dignified. This moon in Aquarius is nada. All it's doing is helping us try to connect to the understanding of the emotional frequencies. But you must take that understanding of the emotional frequencies and connect it with your heart. You must connect it with your path. You must connect it with your spiritual truth. And more importantly, you must connect it with the bigger vision of where you really want to go in your life and your true beliefs, which are partly delusional with Neptune squaring Jupiter. That people are like seeing their picture and seeing it all in a way without really looking. Is this just some sort of subconscious trigger to hold me back from the true adventure of my life? Like, I need to gain more knowledge still before I go on that adventure. Or I need to gain more understanding about it before I really start to see if I can spiritually really go through this. I'll just wait till my time is on. It's like, what? Saturn is looking at it like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what? Let's go. Even though Saturn is a slow guy with a cane going like, let's go, but at least he's going. And so this is this moment that's starting with this next 6-week cycle is going to be, it's actually less, it's like 5-week cycle, till we get to that Saturn direct on September 18th. And remember, whenever Saturn stops, which it does for a good week and a half before, things get really slow. And so I'm just giving people this energy now to say, let's go. Because that Mercury coming out of shadow, this Mars coming into Virgo, it's on top of Regulus. Where the actual position is on top of Regulus where it was, where most of us were all born. If you were born 72 years before 2012, you have Regulus at 29 degrees in your chart. So guess what? You've got to step into your regal heart and you've got to embody the lion's heart. Do you have it in you? And with Pluto making that quincunx to Sun and Venus, with a Yod, with Neptune, with this South Node, are you willing to drop deeply into the truth of really what you have to break the barriers of the blocks and the rules that you have projected in yourself, with Neptune helping with that projection, that are with the South Node there, that are delusional, that you have created of like, I can't go into this, or this isn't going to be love for me, or whatever, because you're fucking locked up into this whole idea of this whole entire picture of your life that actually is just a delusion and with weird beliefs? Let's get deep into these charts and help you freaking see. No alien babies today. All right. We are trying something new today when I do my chart readings for people. We are looking at a lot of charts at once. All right. Today, the Tuesday, and I'm actually doing this as 0 Aries point charts. I thought it would be a little unique for people to kind of see this way. So, I just ran this one about an hour ago, but here it is. Look at this as we're talking today. Mercury at 2 degrees. And you know what was interesting here about Tuesday is the moon came into Aquarius, opposed Mercury, squared Uranus, okay? Actually, it's happening right now. But what's interesting about this is like a jack-in-the-box popping out of nowhere. Information-wise, Mercury at the last degrees before it comes out of shadow, the moon in Aquarius for the first time without the South Node there. Uranus just went retrograde, so there's this kind of like emotional pop and information and pop, 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 pop. Like, whoa! It's like popcorn in the fucking microwave. Like, what the hell? And I think a lot of this is saying, get ready, the movie's about to start. I don't know why I'm channeling a movie theater right now, but maybe because of the, when you go do a past life regression, most of them will take you to a movie theater. Of course, When it popped up for me, I wasn't able to watch the movie. It's like, you got to go in the life. So I left the movie theater, went into the life. But long story short is, guess what? This is the popcorn that started on Tuesday. This is not even the movie or the trailer yet. So if you think that Tuesday's intense and how intense this is going to be, I think this is much more positive than negative. I just want to put that out there. All I'm saying, though, is this shit is really starting to pop off. And all the issues that are starting to pop off on Tuesday are literally part of the popcorn of what this movie's going to look like. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, like pop, 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 what the fuck? And it's very weird shit. It's like, what the hell? How did this come together? And it's always going to be weird because you're going to be like, synchronicities are weirder than I thought, right? With Uranus, Moon in Aquarius, and with Mercury in Shadow and Leo, it's like really looking at how we are creators of crazy synchronicities, that we live in a world of crazy synchronicities. And Uranus and Taurus there is trying to be like, okay, what is the best of all these popcorns, like kernels and all this shit that's popping up, and what am I going to move forward with all this Sun-Venus activity? So if you look at this, you know, oh, it doesn't let me do that. That's just, I'm not going to use this program that way anymore. That sucks. I can't erase something like that. Oh. So I have to use the old school eraser. There we go. Now you can see. So Sun, Venus, look at that. Venus is literally less than 3 minutes away from the conjunction point. And actually, technically tonight, Tuesday night, we do have Sun, Venus at 21 degrees conjuncting. But what's interesting is if you see this Mars at 27, it's 1 degree away from where that 28 degree spot is, where the eclipse was on August of 21st of 2017. Now that was a big eclipse. That was a big eclipse because it was in trine to Uranus. I don't know if y'all remember that. And in Aries too. And I think that, you know, with Mars as well at this 26, 27, that's trining the galactic center. This is like, come on, you've got a galactic destiny that's undeniable. Why are you not going to go? Sun and Venus, it's not a retrograde. This is not Venus crossing the sun. This is Venus behind the sun. And we have the moon on the other side of the earth. So there's a lot where Earth, we're in the middle of a lot. We got the emotions pulling us one way in Aquarius, where it's like trying to feel and understand these radical weird things, these weird connections. Uranus also deals with people, so Aquarius, definitely full moon in Aquarius deals with your emotional position in the world and the way people, and do you take people and keep them in a black book, or do you make them personal in your life? With Venus and Leo, it's like taking people out of the kingdom and going, can you be on the royal court, or are you going to sit next to me on the throne? Like, that is what this is all about. This might sound crazy, but you're going to realize that you have a whole popcorn full of people, and that might sound like some fucking really twisted ass shit. But the truth is that you have popcorns of people, and you go, who's sitting here and who's sitting here? Who's here, and where's this in my life? Kind of crazy. And I mean, you know, this full moon in Aquarius to me, I think it's, well, I'll show you. Let's just go to the next chart here, which is August the 14th. So the full moon is building, but its apex is, remember, going to be at 22. But we have now seen on Wednesday the Sun and Venus make their conjunction point. And Venus is now passing the Sun. So this feminine energy is moving past this more dominant masculine, especially the most dominant masculine of the dignified Sun. It's like, okay, we now have to go create. It's ready to go catch up with Mars. And this is a positive shift because this is like not Venus trailing the Sun anymore. This is Venus in front of the Sun. And Venus has kind of that, you know, if you know any Libra, you know, I always look at Venus from both positions, Taurus or Libra. But if you look at it from a Libra position, like Libras love to be chased, right? Or they also like to chase themselves. So there is kind of this like, I'm not chasing the Sun anymore, but I also kind of want Mars, right? Venus wants Mars. Venus really doesn't want the Sun as much. Venus wants Mars, right? So this is Venus with Juno in between Mars in the chase, which is this idealism of the understanding of this true energy of, I mean, if we take it on a basic level, like the kind of partnerships, and especially in Leo, the love that we want to have. I was born with Venus, Juno conjunct in Leo, Trust me, it's like, it can create the most idealistic, love ever in your perception and how you want it to see it. And you can actually see it. But it's like whether or not with Pluto exactly making its quincunx on Wednesday, as it's 2110 to that Venus Sun, I'm telling you folks, it's like, whoa, this is kind of intense and gnarly here. It's finishing that yod with that 18 degree right there. It won't show it right here in the chart, but it's technically there. It's 3 degrees, but because here it's 3 degrees in 10 minutes, they don't count it. But you could see the sextile, but I don't know why they don't count that. That's so weird. But long story short is, this yod is pointing at this last moment, like, are you going to integrate or not? Are you going to start to make changes to your life? This full moon's right in between it, that's apexing at 22, but it's going to be at 14 degrees, making an exact sextile to Jupiter. Like, come on, let's have the experience of a lifetime. Or not. And that's where Leo gets kind of crazy in the fact that Leo, everybody has their own heart. Everybody has their own way of doing things, and that's just the way it is. But, it reminds me of this song that the Eagles do. It's my favorite song, believe it or not. Maybe I'm fucking twisted and demented, but it's Desperado. It's like, I know I've been using a lot of Eagles songs, and I've been using Led Zeppelin lately and shit, but are you really going to end up alone in your life? This is an excellent chart for showing somebody who is either connected with the most amazing love of their life, or the opposite of that, of loving just their own independent self and just being a desperado all on their own out in the country by themselves. And their feet getting cold in the wintertime and nobody's there to rub them. But that might be cool. And that's where this is going to be some major choices that are beginning. Remember, this is going to be a process. So don't think that, oh my God, if I don't make this choice by Wednesday, but there's something that's seeded at this point. They could start the direction towards that way. That's what full moons do. Remember, once the full moon happens, then it starts to go in a waning position. Waning, not waxing. Waxing strong. Wax. Waning sounds like a whiner. So this is where this is a big culmination point here. Okay? I mean, even if you really take in consideration the math, with Juno, wow, look at that. That's Ceci quadrant over to Chiron. That's happening. Chiron can feel very alone in Aries, especially when we think we have control of our identity. You are great who you are as is. And I think Uranus and Taurus is teaching that, and I think Chiron and Aries is teaching that. And they've both been getting closer and closer. We've never in all of our lives seen Chiron and Uranus get this close. You got to remember that Chiron and Saturn have hung out before. Chiron and Uranus haven't hung out in a long time. Because you got to remember that in the 60s, it was Chiron, even though we didn't find it till 77, but it was Chiron and Saturn oppose Uranus and Pluto. We are now making our way finally to Chiron and Uranus. They're 30 degrees apart. They're in semi-sextile. And so this is a very unique aspect. They're weirdos, but they are hanging out in our identity and our self-worth and our confidence. And these two signs definitely are very relatable. I mean, it is the head and the neck, before we get to the cutoff to that, to Gemini, to the more body part of ourselves. But you got to remember that there is this weird aspect about learning to understand whether or not you're really going to connect as is what you have, or accepting what you are. Because people in the 70s, especially 69 through the early 70s, like with Chiron and Aries there, it was like trying too hard to showcase themselves, to heal themselves, instead of accepting who they were, right? So it was kind of like, but then they thought they were accepting who they were by showing themselves off. It becomes kind of a weird thing. And I think it's both. But I also think that it's like, it reminds me of like some sort of 70s like weird thing where it's like, unless I have long hair and I look like a hippie right now, then the girls will like me. Or unless I'm like driving that kind of car and I wear these kind of clothes, which you kind of see in the Burning Man community, right? Like, it's like, unless you're wearing that, like, why are you here? And this has been a buildup that's been going on for a while. Even if you go to a red carpet event right now, it's like, oh my God, like, you're wearing that? Like, what the fuck? I know that's been around, but it's more stronger than it's ever been now than ever. Because Chiron in Aries starts to go, yeah, where's the weirdo in the room that does not fit in with the identification of who we are? Like, where's that desperado in the room? Which is usually a polarizing figure because usually that person is actually just in their real true self. So don't be afraid of being that, but also don't segregate yourself in a time where unity isn't right now through this identity of group consciousness, believe it or not, but identity right now of unity is through individuals finding their love and their happiness and their passion and willing to connect, to understand what that unity is going to even be. Then right now, unity consciousness is lost because everybody doesn't know what their value is, or they're not ready for fully opening up themselves yet to full love, or maybe they did and there's something happened, or who knows. That's why the universe has thrown all this in dignified positions with yods and with everything, connected to this Sun-Venus aspect. Also, the interesting thing about Wednesday before this full moon happens, technically Thursday evening, or Thursday morning, but late Wednesday night, however you want to look at it, is Mercury is at the last part of its shadow, right? 3 degrees, 47 minutes. It does come out of shadow that late that night with the full moon, which I got right here. So here's the full moon chart for August 15th. This 22 degrees sun, okay? It's going to happen about 5:30 a.m. Pacific, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. It's at 22. Now, I think that this is an interesting aspect. One, because Sun and Venus are 22. I talked about this earlier when we were channeling earlier, but Mars finally is at 28. It's cutting off that eclipse point. We got Mercury out of shadow, 4:48. Look at that. Remember that Mars conjuncted Mercury, or we could actually literally say that, yeah, I guess it was Mars conjunct Mercury. But Mercury did, yeah, Mars did catch up with Mercury. I don't think Mercury caught up with Mars. Or maybe it did. I mean, that was a crazy retrograde to have Mercury, retrograde on Mars. So there is something about Mercury reaching that shadow that has the reminder of Mars being like, hey, Mercury, if you're going backwards, you better bring me a message now. You know what I mean? Like it's a little page like, yes, sir. Because it's like a Mars and Leo, like a really high up commander, that the king trusts. It's like, I'll be back, sir. I work for the king too. And you're like running fucking backwards in the Cancer going, oh my God, I got to go through all these emotions and all that shit. Now it's like that commander is at the literal spot of an eclipse that's cutting it off. This is old esoteric astrology. Like Mars cuts eclipse energy off. Eclipse's energy can last a long time, but usually after Mars cuts it off, Mars cuts that energy off. Of course, it can echo for a while, but, it closes that echo. So Mars is now here, ironically, while Mercury is out of shadow, and Mars is like, what's the message? And Mercury, the page is like, well, okay, so there's all these things and all these emotions. Thank God I'm back in the kingdom because I almost drowned over there. Like there's so many feelings. It's like, I don't want to hear about the feelings. What the fuck? Well, I kind of do, but what is it? What do I got to do? Where do I got to go? Because I'm about to go into Virgo and shit's about to get real. Shit's about to get real. That's how fast shit's coming. Mercury's that fast now. And the page is like, I can't just sit here and tell you everything right away. Why don't you come walk with me? He's like, well, I'm about to go into fucking Virgo. Like that's literally Mars right now. And there's this edge because it's a full moon. So it's peaked out energy. It's peaked. You don't get much more peaked out than this. Sun, Venus, opposing the moon. This is big deal. And, Mars at this 28 is ready to come to 29, which is the edgy degree for Mars and any planet, but really Mars at 29, anything's just go, it's like ready to just, And this is our moment prior, because think about it, September 18th is around the corner, and that's when Saturn comes direct. And then October 3rd, Pluto direct. Now we're about to go into the craziness of Saturn-Pluto. And before those transits, guess what? We got to go through this stuff in our heart. We got to go through this stuff in love. We're not going to get this much fire for a long time. And we don't get this much fire for a long time, I don't want you to be a desperado out there. Just kind of like, I can survive on my own on an alien planet? Really? How much oxygen do you think you got? This is definitely not a time to bug out and leave the kingdom of love. in yourself and the world and around you. This full moon's not joking around, because the disconnect emotionally is the last thing that this moon wants. It did that last year. It had a lunar eclipse at 4 and 5 degrees with Mars retrograde with the South Node, 3, 4, 5. In July 27th of last year. That was the last full moon in Aquarius. We have completed now that cycle. Do you think, I'm going to be very honest with everybody. In my whole entire time of doing astrology and reading this shit and doing over 10,000 videos on Horoscope every fucking day, I'm telling you, I have never in my life seen the cutoff of so much eclipse energy over a 2-year cycle at the exact same time and getting prepared for a Saturn-Pluto cycle that's going to go direct, okay? In less than a month, look at it's about a month. August 15th, September 18th. You have a month, people, before the craziness really goes down, because this is the best time of the year that's coming. When these come direct and they move forward, we are all moving ourselves into a place we have no fucking idea how it's going to fucking turn out at all. Like, we really don't. We do know it will be Capricorn. We do know that Jupiter will be there. We do know all this shit. But we don't know what the ending of the last 37 years of the whole entire cycle of Saturn and Pluto and Libra was about, which is about relationships, which Venus is being covered. This blows my mind. There was eclipses at 22, by the way. There was eclipses at 28. And I think that the big deal here is that the last time that there was a full moon, it was very stressed. It did want to do everything to bug the fuck out. That was what the South Node was. South Node on Moon in Aquarius is always like, give me the fuck out of here. I don't even want to deal with it. And with Mars retrograde, it's like, yeah, I can't even deal with this. Goodbye, I'm out. So you were already bugged out last year. This is the opposite now, where it's like pushing you in. Because especially with the gravitational energies of Mars and Venus in the same sign, with the sun there in its home sign, and with all these planets, we will never in our lives see this again. We will never see this much planets in their dignified positions ever again, with a full moon, with Venus and Mars, with Juno in Leo, or any of this stuff. Because having this with the sun, it's with the king. It's with the whole entire understanding of tropical astrology, Western astrology, is the sun. It is a sun-based system. And I'm sorry to say this, but this is it, folks. Mercury this is it. This full moon is like, what are you going to come into? Because you spent last year at this exact time going, what the fuck, I'm bugging out. I'm out. I don't want to do this. I can go on hours just on this full moon. That's how powerful it is. Juno now at 26 degrees, galactic center. Do you really, to 26, and 27 of Sag, like, do you really? And that's the, they say the technical position. I'm much more of a, 0 Capricorn to 26 Sag. That's my galactic center aspect. So you really have Mars and Juno making a trine to that spot. Take action for love towards the ultimate connections ever. And the moon, we can use it in Aquarius for connecting all the lights or turning all the fucking switches and literally just throwing all the fucking fuse boxes and just fucking shit. So people could go really crazy over this full moon, or they could go really crazy into the most beautiful thing. Literally, have your pills ready for certain people, and others, you never know, okay? Because after that, once we come to the 16th, that full moon's over. The Aquarius energy's gone. We either did this big connection, and we are in now Marsville, Mars at 29. And so this Friday is going to be really interesting. It's going to be this very Regulus style Leo, Mars, Sun, Venus. Venus now is a degree apart. So now Venus is really chasing. And Venus and Juno are coming together. And so that midpoint between Venus and Mars is 26, which Juno's at. So this chase is about finding the ultimate understanding of, especially in Leo, like the ultimate love and the partnership with the kind of energy that really feels like it is aligned with you. I know Juno you can get into so much of the story, but it's just like, if at the end of the story, it's like, whether you call it the perfect partner, the perfect wife, the perfect whatever, it is the perfect alignment of energy, however you want to look at it, that feels in replication of your own self. which some people could call that twin flames. I'm not a big twin flame person, but I've been saying that most of the twin flame community has been lost as fuck in twin flames because I knew for years with Saturn and Pluto that nobody would know what it would be. And I knew that these kind of crazy aspects were going to come that would actually show the real true reflection of that shit. Because you didn't know with Uranus and Aries who you were. So fucking, if you really thought you knew you were, how do you know that was your fucking twin? And with Neptune and Pisces, I mean, especially, you know, and especially in those years with squaring Mercury retrograde, that was when the twin flame thing got big. And I was like, oh my gosh, Mercury's retrograde in its home sign, squaring over to Neptune in its home sign? Really? I mean, sure, that's some channeled information, but it might be a little off on when it is and when it's coming. So Friday and coming to this weekend is going to be very weird because I think with this moon in Pisces now and Neptune and the square to Jupiter, there's a lot to try and sort out in your spiritual world and where this adventure could go and where this whole experience can go. And experience is the game, and it can be magic. There is magic that is building because a sun in Leo and a moon in Pisces is very magical. You can't get magic without this kind of, you know, quincunx energy. You can't. Dark magic would be something different. And I think that's kind of where the weird aspects to Saturn and Pluto could be, you know, right now. But, you know, there is this alignment that is having us try to find the ultimate wonder of life. And Mars wants to win. When it comes to the end of Leo and comes now on top of Regulus, even though Regulus is now in Virgo, and I'm going to talk about that when it comes into Virgo here on Sunday, but there is something about us all being born with this 29-degree Regulus, that we want to win the ultimate happiness in our heart. Why do you think our whole generation, all of us born in the since 1940 up until 2012, so if any of you kids are watching from 2012, I'm sorry, you got it in Virgo, but it's a whole different story. You're doing better service than we'll ever do because we're just chasing our own satisfaction of our heart. You're all doing something good for the world. That's just some fucking truth. But that's something that we are all striving to have right now, that we all don't feel like we've had it. You have to remember there's been not good aspects like this in a long time. For real. Not good. It has not been good. Even Mercury is squaring Uranus on that day. So I think that that is the big kind of whoa. When you get the quincunx from Mercury over to the moon, and as Mercury is squaring Uranus, but the moon is sextiling over to Uranus, there becomes this really weird thing where our mind is very unsure of, like, especially think of the page, right? So it just told Mars at the shadow spot, okay, yeah, okay, all this shit happened and let's go. But then it's coming into Uranus, like, wait, what? Like, I have to, and it's got the trine to Chiron, don't forget, where it's trying to understand, well, maybe I need to find a new way to connect to better energy in my life, to feel better and to create better. And whatever has happened that my ego thought it would look like, I need to drop. And I have to integrate what I am, what it is, whatever has happened, and love that, because the universe has a better showing of that to me. And I think that this is the time for us to all realize that even though it seems like, oh God, Mercury square Uranus, this is Mercury at its fastest speed. So I'm telling you right now, like, it's going fast, okay? It's fucking starting to move. It is gonna go, like, it's like gonna literally go through Uranus. And Uranus is really slow right now, and Uranus is in Taurus. And I think that a lot of it is just like a quick glance and a quick whoa, with the moon there and Pisces being like, whoa, this could be a very, very magical, actual place I can manifest in my life. But I have to get out of my own head of how I identify from my ego of, like, maybe it's going to be a different viewpoint of what I valued in my heart. Our values can change of heart, or we can even increase our heart with Uranus and Taurus to a better heart, to doing better for ourselves, to loving ourselves better, to loving people better. Instead of creating this kind of like, well, I'm just going to go create my own fantasy and go in my own space, which a lot of people will use this for. But I think that a lot of it is like, what is this really going to better myself? Is this really going to better my life? And Mars on the Regulus position for all of us is really saying, like, yeah, you will get it. Mars Regulus gets it. But it can be a very great fall from grace. But it always picks itself back up But with knowing the Saturn-Pluto aspects, with knowing the stuff that's coming, like this is where you got nothing to lose. Because the biggest relationship stories of our life, I said this on my live on Instagram today, are forming during this period. And they're all forming because when Saturn and Pluto meet in January 2020, that's the point when it all ends and the new Saturn-Pluto story begins. And so, of course, less than 6 months right after the eclipse cycle and in between the eclipse cycle, because there will be an eclipse cycle during Saturn-Pluto conjunction, of course, right after it, of course, all the dignified energies that we were like, what the hell? If anybody does horoscopes, you knew coming into 2019 that this was going to be a crazy fucking year with all this dignified energy. That the most potent time of our lives we'll ever see. You'll never see Saturn in Capricorn again. You'll never see Neptune and Pisces again all at the same time in sextile. You'll never see Jupiter in Sag, square Neptune and Pisces. Last time that happened was 1852, 1853. So you've never seen this before. And it will never come back again. And you're never going to get it with Mars and Venus and Juno all smack dab in Leo like this again, with the sun in Leo. So are you really going to get to this point this weekend where you're really just going to go, I'm just going to go do my normal shit? Maybe that's what makes you happy, but Mercury is being told by Uranus, like, come on, use this creativity, use this beauty of who you are and this sovereign self to do something exciting and different and radical that is better for yourself. And with the moon in Pisces, let's go to another world, whether you want to call it that way, or let's go to a place that is truly connected to the true soul within. And Uranus and the moon are working together to feel magic. And if you don't believe in magic, like, I'll be honest with you, I feel sad for you because it's fucking here. And I think a lot of people don't want to accept that. I think that that's the hardest part of this full moon, is realization of the magic that is the truth that all of us preach if we're astrologers, or all of us preach if we're psychics, or all of us preach if we're in divination, or all of us preach if we're in the spiritual community, is we preach about magic. And we see it happen every day. But this is saying that this is the most magical moment we've ever seen, literally ever, if you think about all of the points in history and how they are all smashing together right now, in all of the ways that the mathematics have never and will never be like this ever again. And of course you can say that about every day, but you can never say it on the magnitude of the uniqueness of this perspective. And of course it's a full moon in Aquarius with the sun dignified, with the moon in this position, because of course it's unique. Because as we move to Saturday, it's the last day of Mars in Leo, and the moon conjunct Neptune. And I think what's really interesting about this is we start to see Venus and Juno now within less than 2 degrees, as Mars is exiting Leo, but there's that 29-degree Mars. So I really think it's a very magical weekend. But if you're kind of stuck alone or stuck in your own space, that might be okay. Maybe you need to process some of this magic. Maybe it's a little overwhelming. But Saturn's there supporting it, saying like, come on, like, do you want to... I believe Saturn is working for us. I don't think Saturn's working against us. I think Pluto is working against us right now with behind Saturn, right? With the South Node kind of like manipulating Saturn to be like, yeah, make them go back to their old karma. Yeah, make them live by these weird rules. Yeah, let's control. Like, and Saturn's kind of like control, and then, wait, I really want to help you. Like, you're stable, like, go to the magic. No, what are you telling them? You know what I mean? Like Pluto, I always say, Pluto right now is the reptilian on the fucking toilet shitting and yelling at fucking Saturn. No, fucking tell him this, tell him this, you know? Like, well, I don't know, you know? Like Saturn's like, I never listen to anybody, but I don't know why I'm so hypnotized by this fucking guy. Because South Node is fucking with both of them. So even Saturn is hypnotized. Usually, you know, Saturn's really on it. But when he's in Capricorn with the South Node, with Pluto behind them, we've never seen this in our lives. We haven't seen this in over thousands of years. Go back, do the math. You've never seen it with the South Node. We saw it with the North Node in 1282 through 84, but we didn't see it with the South Node. So we've never seen Saturn hypnotized, kind of like an old guy at a fucking nursing home, and like they're like, here, drip him with this. Fucking, oh, how are you? You know? With Pluto manipulation, like, yes, do this. And I think that people are going to need to wake the fuck up. This is it, folks. And Mars wakes people up at that Regulus spot in Leo, in the end of Leo, and coming on Regulus and Virgo, it's going to be a wake up of reality call. Like, wake the fuck up and let's turn the magic into this reality. for yourself before Saturn and Pluto fucking try to destroy what we identify as the control systems of our lives, or these old rules that we have lived by, that a lot of people live by, even including people that say they're free, right? Oh, I'm out of the matrix. I'm spiritual now. You still are living in the fucking matrix, motherfucker. You still wearing this, you still do that. Everybody has a part where they're still playing in it. It's too big of a system to just crumble. But it is crumbling. And I think that it's like, before we go through this massive weird energy, which I'll be honest, looks like a tidal wave. It's like, you've got to get this magic going now and these connections now. And I think I was very clear about that, about what happened in 2018 and how this is the opposite of that with this full moon. But with this moon on Pisces, with Neptune here, this is very rare, especially because it's exactly trining the North Node at 17 degrees. Now Neptune is back to its trine to the North Node. If you don't believe magic exists, I'm sorry, leave this fucking live, because it does. And to see this happen, Mercury's off the square to Uranus. They got the little message from Uranus and Taurus, like, make it really fucking good. Tell the king it's fucking, make the best. There becomes this point of truth, that we have to go into deeper emotional, spiritual situations, and we don't feel like we can with the opposition to that Saturn and Pluto. We don't feel like we can. We feel like, oh my gosh, like, no, I need to cut myself off from that, or I need control. And this is a control. Control is the farthest away from magic. Now, using control after magic is what it's for, as far as making sure that you use it for the right things. But controlling and putting up blocks of magic means you won't step into magic. And that's the deception that is going on right now to the North Node. Because in that opposition point, that South Node is also mixed with the Moon and Neptune now. And Mercury will come through a yacht. You guys should buy that video. It's $10. It's awesome. I go into all that shit. But long story short, this weekend is, where is the magic? Are you accepting it or not? It reminds me of the Four Cups in tarot. Like, it's like, here's the magic, I don't want it. No. It's like, fucking, or there's people like, give me that, thanks God, fucking I'm on it. Here it is on Sunday. This is an interesting day. The moon comes into Aries at its 0 Aries, while Mars has finally arrived in Virgo. So we get that weird quincunx, but I think what's the most interesting is Mars now in Virgo, as Venus and Juno now are less than 1 degree away. And Venus is now with Juno trining, and Mars. Well, I mean, Mars kind of comes off the galactic center, but it is now Venus, Juno trining the galactic center. So Sunday is, let's make the reality of the most amazing, beautiful things that we can create that feel in true alignment with our real true heart and self, that can reciprocate that way in projects and in our relationships and the things we're creating. And with the moon in Aries over Chiron, it's like the accepting of what we have and what we are, and the humbleness, and that maybe people don't understand exactly. Moon and Chiron, I have it. I was born with it. It's like, I don't understand, or people don't understand maybe of why, like, emotions for Moon Chiron people are unique. It's because we feel like we can only heal through our own self. We don't need other people. Like, we don't go like, oh, I need you to help come here and like sit with me through this problem right now. Moon Chiron people are like, I fucking deal with so much fucking pain my whole life. Like, I already know how to deal with it myself. And so this can bring up some weird shit as reality is calling hard of Mars. And Mars is still the leader, although Mars is kind of getting worried, because now Venus is getting ready to pass Mars. The feminine's going to pass the masculine, which always is kind of demasculating, right, for the energy. But what it is Mars is like, I got to get this shit going now. And with this moon Chiron, I think a lot of it is like, okay, it's fired up. There's a lot of fire. And if we look at the understanding of Aries, which is Mars ruler, it's like, we can only feel good and heal ourselves by creating a new reality, by actually cleaning it up or redirecting it or making some shifts. We have to. And the North Node now reaches 16 degrees for the first time in, 18, 19 years since the year 2000 and 2001. And what's crazy is at 16. Now we're really getting on the star Sirius, for real, okay? And this is a very weird point in our history that we will never see in our lives again, as the North Node on Sirius and all this Leo and Mars leaving and coming on top of Regulus, exactly the real position of it now, tropically, and at the exact moment when the moon comes to the start point of the chart. It's a new cycle of emotion. North Node, emotion. Mars, semi-square to the North Node. We must integrate our reality into the feeling, and it's a brand new start. And with Chiron near this 0 point, it's humbling to let go of this identification of how you think it will look. Every time you try to identify and think it'll look a certain way, you're going to get knocked on the head by Chiron and be like, sorry, sorry, you're actually hanging out with me like in a weird place and we don't ever get anything that looks the way it is. It's like, what? Like, this place is fucking fucked up. It's like, no, it's not. Appreciate it. Look at it for a second. Oh, I can see it now. And so there's this new start thing Sunday. It's kick-starting. I mean, the whole week it is, but if you look at Monday, the last day of these charts that I'm reading for you all is on the 19th. And as we come into this, Venus and Juno meet up at 28:07 minutes, literally the exact degree of the eclipse, 28 degrees of the eclipse of August of 21st of 17. So in 1 week, we have Mars crossing it, we have Venus and Juno crossing it, and that, to me, is going to be the point as Venus crosses Juno, and Mercury is at 11 Leo, which is the garden party, by the way, in the Sabian symbol, and 26 Leo. These are all my degrees, which is kind of funny. But the moon is going to be squaring Saturn. And even though we're all pumped up and ready for this beautiful energy, it's like, are you going to restrict yourself because of some sort of old block, some old karmic block, or you just are going to do the whole hermit thing? Like, no, I don't want to. Are you going to fall for this Neptunian South Node sextile with Saturn and Pluto and the manipulation game of how you should be living and what the media is telling you, or what people who are not of the light, who are being sucked through other energies that don't do this work, are telling you what to do? This is going to be a breaking point for people of the most beautiful week of their life and magic that can be created, or saying no to it, and I'm quitting astrology, or I'm not doing this, or I'm going to go be a desperado, I'm going to go be alone, I can't do... People start to fucking do weird shit on this kind of astrology. And you know what? There's never been astrology like this, so I'm going to be the one that says that that's how it's going to be. I'm an astrologer and I will do a horoscope on this, and that's what's happening. You are going to see people that are going to fucking go head first into a whole new direction of beauty and love and happiness and connect, or other people just go, I am not ready, and that's how people know. Maybe they feel they need something more. That's what I think this whole Uranus and Taurus thing is. Oh no, I need something still, or I need more with Jupiter education, or I need to understand this more, I need to seek more knowledge. But with Neptune squaring it, it's like, oh wait, oh no, like I already know in my gut, I already know in my soul. One thing about being a psychic, I don't know, I can't see TV, so we're going to just go right here. One thing about being a psychic is you own that shit. You know. There is no such thing as like, well, hold on, let me get more info. Like, what? Don't go to any psychic that has to go, hold on 1 second, let me get more info. I'll call you in a week. I'll call you in a couple days. You fucking know right away. Your soul knows. God instantly gives you fucking downloads in there's not even a time about it. There is no such thing as a millisecond. It just already is. It just fucking hits you. And this is where magic is hitting us at the greatest I've ever seen in my life. And the fact that Juno and Venus are going to be coming on top of Regulus as well, and they're meeting with Mars, and the sun is meeting with that. And as this waning moon is coming in Aries, it will square Saturn and Pluto, but it's going to come over Uranus in the following days. And next week is getting ready for, this in-between point before the new moon on top of all Mars, Venus, Regulus. Not Regulus, but it does go through Regulus. But Mars, Venus, Juno. It's insane with the sun and moon, and it's sun and Mars conjunct. and we are going to go head first into a whole new reality. But do you want to have it as a magical reality of your greatest heart? Or are you going to fall victim to God, it didn't turn out that way, or this didn't turn out, or don't fucking worry about everyone else. That's the last thing I'm going to say tonight. A full moon in Aquarius worries about what everybody else does except yourself. Thank God you got a Leo telling you this shit, because I don't fall for that shit. I don't give a fuck. Sure, I might gripe about it from my throne. I don't go run over there, though, and start being like, you motherfucker, I can't believe you said that. I will be on my throne and get on my phone and be comfortable and be drinking my Sprite and be smoking a Juul and shit and being like, well, fuck you, blah, 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 and then be like, I'm fine. Whatever. And this is the ultimate test. If you're going to start following love of what everybody else is telling you to do, or love of what you think is trendy, or love of what other people are telling you how to be, except of you following your own knowing and guiding and finding your own royal energy. This is building queens and kings out of people with this Regulus energy, with this Mars, and whether or not you stand up and step into that, and that is love. Regulus is the heart of the lion. It is the star that is the great fixed star of Leo. You are not a Leo energy. You are not in love with yourself if you do not know how to put your kingdom of your heart first fully, and you know how to own that motherfucker and own that crown and fucking put that shit on. Where's Billie Eilish fucking when you need her fucking in that fucking song? That's all I got to say. We got a crazy after dark. But I want to make sure that everybody checks out Passion of the Venus video that I just did. Check it out on highvibe.tv. It's an hour and 22 minutes long. If you think this is anything, wait till you see what's coming up in this next week and the week after that, and with that new moon cycle and after. And I go into the equinox, and I go into some other stuff, and I go into some crazy stories. I don't want to give it all away. Check it out. It's at highvibe.tv. But after dark, we got tons of guests. We got a big show tonight. We are going live right after this. And if you want to support shows like this, make sure you check out highvibe.tv. Either get that video or you can watch the free content. You can be on Apple TV, iOS, and Android and watch everything. We stream this live on there too. And we're going to have an amazing After Dark. Don't go nowhere. Follow us on HighVibe TV. You can get us on Instagram, you can get us Facebook, or you can follow me at the Leo Kingdom on Instagram. I'll be posting the story and with the swipe up ready to go. We'll be live here soon. We're going to set up the stage. We've got a lot of people in here. Thank you so much. I love you all. Put on your motherfucking crowns and own this shit and make this new better reality, because I want to this is the last thing. Mars on top of Regulus and Virgo is the servant now that is of the highest good and pureness. And we have to put our own crowns of our happiness to serve the world better, because an unhappy person will not want to serve the world. It is proven by data and psychological aspects that somebody that does not like their job is going to be an underperformer. Do you think that God and the earth and universe is going to want a bunch of people that hate them fucking selves working for the good? Yeah, right. God did not build slaves. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to fucking trigger the fucking shit out of people right now. And I don't even want to use that word. I think it's a nasty word. I don't like the word slave. But I will put dark servant. You are a dark servant if you run away from magic that is showing up in your life this week. Because you are going to go serve the fucking dark. You are going to go serve the old fucking oligarchy. Let's use that word, of old systems and old ways, because you are too afraid to fucking learn how to integrate into love. You are a fucking pussy. So go have fun being a dark servant, and you know what? Have a great time, because you don't know how to put on a crown and go serve the world, because you don't know how to make yourself happy, and the only way to make yourself happy is to fucking integrate. This Pluto can be used for good right now, or this Pluto can just destroy. Are you going to destroy your love and your happiness in life right now because you're too afraid to own your own kingdom of your own happiness? Good luck if you do. But I'll be proud of you if you show up and I get to see you out there in this beautiful light work of serving the world in all of our happy places and creating the better reality before the ticking bombs of Saturn and Pluto come back on. I'll see you tonight after Dark now.